What's going on, you guys? Your boy here at the TCP Live. Continuing my, G League Baseball 2013 preview. Got to the AL East, gone to the AL Central now, the last division in the American League, and that of course is the American West, which is a pretty interesting division. The reason is because on paper kinda doesn't look good, but maybe one. Well, it might division. The boy. I mean.
And there's a DH and there's no pitcher spot. Yeah. No, look. Let's nonetheless. Houston not are again. I think the yeah. Guys like that, look at Carlos Pena as a DH. For Carlos Pena's a guy who's gonna bat, who's gonna, average, his batting average for 97, and then he's gonna hit maybe like 20 home runs and give you somewhere to 80 to possibly 90 RBIs. Okay, that's good. But your pitch is bad, and I look at the bullpen, like who stands out? There's not really anyone that really stands out, so to me, that's just another lost year for the Astros. And I know they have new uniforms, got a new look, whatever, and they're in a new division, they're in a new, league. But, with all that said, this is still a bad Astros team, But, anyway, so we move on from the Astros to the Seattle Mariners. And the Mariners are quite an interesting team because, for several years they've been a team that's had decent pitching because Safeco Field has been, field in Seattle, the ballpark, has been basically a pitcher's ballpark. Basically meaning that, it's kind of tough to hit, home runs or, extra base hits and stuff in that ballpark. But, this team has actually added some bat. They added Kendrick Ellis from the Angels. I think that's a steal right there. That was a good trade by them. And you just look at other players, other guys they added to the team, and it's actually not that bad. Hopefully Jesus Montero, the guy that they acquired from the New York Yankees in that Michael Pineda trade. Last year he didn't really work. He didn't really produce as what they expected him to do. However, I think times will change, and I think he'll do better this time around. And you look at this batting lineup, it doesn't look all that bad, really. I really like what's his name, Ackley at second base, Dustin Ackley. I think he's a really good young second baseman for them. He'd also play, I believe, third, but again, should be interesting. And I think they're coming along. They got a nice closer in Tom Williamson, and they have King Felix, but they gave King Felix all this big money, and hopefully down the road he will pay off for that money. And King Felix, Felix has performed well. He's always been a dominant strikeout pitcher. But hopefully this time, he'll stay that way for the Mariners. And who knows, maybe they could sneak into a wild card. Anything can happen in baseball, especially, this being second year of the whole rule. We got a wild card, number 2 wild card spots. So, excuse me for a second. Ugh, I'm getting a little sick here. It's like a flu bug going by, so yeah. Anyways, next you got the Texas Rangers. Now, here's an interesting part about the Texas Rangers. This is a team that I'm iffy about. Because, first of all, I'm not sold on the pitching. Derek Holland and Matt Harrison does not strike me as dangerous. Neither does Colby Lewis. You can say Yu Darvish all you want, but, Yu Darvish, to me, was kind of like Daisuke Mizaka. Japanese who, in the first few months, looked because of the fact that the major league hitters have never seen him before. They're not used to the way he's pitching, his pitches and his velocity. But then you notice down the road, he started walking people more. ERA started to creep up. And, he started allowing home runs and whatnot. Especially in Texas, because that ballpark in Texas, the ballpark in Arlington, oof,
The summertime, that ball just flies out of the ballpark. But nonetheless, I just don't like this pitching staff for the Rangers. I think this is a pitching staff that's not going to look pretty. The bullpen looks alright, you know, I like them acquiring Syria. And, you know, Joe Nathan is always a decent closer. Not a great closer, but a decent one. But, and also that, but, excuse me, yeah. Ooh, man. Sorry. But, you know, I look at the starting lineup also, you know. Okay, Ian Kinsler's good. But, you lost the bets. You lost the Josh Hamilton's like, peace, I don't want you anymore. Michael Young is gone. Napoli is gone.
And it's just like, yeah, you have Elvis Andrews, who's a decent bat, you know, decent bat shortstop. But again, where's the production from? Lance Berkman, Ekin DH. Is it the same Lance Berkman from freaking like 8 years ago? This was the Berkman from 8 years ago. I sit there going, okay, Texas, you got a good power hitter, Lance. No, the same Lance Berkman, guys. Come on now. But you know, and this and Cruz alright, but I just question this Ranger team. Then again, whenever question the team the last few years, oh, they're not gonna do crap. They somehow, some way make it to the playoffs. Granted, they were in the AL West and they blew it to the team I'm about to talk about, the Oakland Athletics. But Moneyball, Moneyball, talk about the Oakland Athletics, Oakland A's. And the Oakland Athletics. You know, it seems like ever since I've watched the movie Moneyball, I just have a little feeling for them. You know, yes, I'm Red Sox fans. I do like the Diamondbacks. I do like the Cubs. But you know, if I had a second favorite AL team, it probably has to be the Athletics. It just seems like they're a team that no one really hears about. They got good right fielder in Shreddick. You know, used to be in the Boston Red Sox organization. Boy, did they get a steal from freaking Red Sox with Ryan Sweeney. Andrew Bailey hopefully will do it this year, but nonetheless, you know, the Oakland Athletics, they got a nice pitching staff. They got a nice young pitching staff. I like it a lot. Grant Balfour, I believe, is their closer. You know, I think he can do a decent job closing. You know, again, he's not no Mariano Rivera. He's not going to wow you to death. But nonetheless, I think he's going to be a nice closer for the Oakland Athletics. You just look still a young team, you know. You look at their outfield, infield, and whatnot, but still, good young team. And this is a team I think honestly could be the biggest threat to. That's right, I said it. The biggest threat to the Los Angeles Angels of freaking Anna. That's who I'm saying. And speaking of the Angels, how can we not talk about the Angels? Talk about the AL West. Honestly, with the Angels, we all know their team. You got C.J. Wilson, you got Albert Pujols, you got Weaver, you got Trout, and of course you got Josh Hamilton. So, and you also got Mark Trumbo too. It seems like a lot of people forget Mark Trumbo is on the team, but nonetheless, you look at this lineup, it looks stacked from basically top to bottom. But here's the problem. This team was basically stacked from top to bottom last year. Granted, there was no Josh Hamilton, but than that, it's just basically the same team. You know, the same lineup. And the Angels can get going as long as Pujols doesn't pull what he did last year. In the beginning of the season, he started stroke, but I think a lot of that had to do with the fact he was trying to get used to being in the American League. He's never been in the American League before. He was used to being in the NL, of course, spending his whole entire career with the St. Louis Cardinals. Goes to the Angels, struggles for the first few months, and then he pulls it up and starts hitting, you know, 30-plus homers, 100-plus RBIs, and, you know, batting average of like 290. But nonetheless, you know, I think Pujols will turn it around. You know, you got Hamilton, you got Trumbo. This is just a scary lineup. And, you know, if I had a, you know, a favorite team in the American League East, like number one team, like for me, for example, I'd be scared if I look at this Angels lineup, you know, because they can do it all. They can steal bases, they can hit the long ball. They're just, you know, multi-dimensional from to them out. And then you look at the pitching, Jared Weaver, woo. Jared Weaver is proving out that freaking he is better than his older brother, Jeff Weaver. You know, everyone's like, oh, Jeff Weaver. You know, now it's like, oh, Jeff Weaver is better.
I have to agree with that, because I saw Jeff Weaver on the Yankees. It was not a pretty sight, but nonetheless, you're a Yankees fan. But you also got C.J. Wilson, Tommy. Okay, here's the thing I got a problem here. You look at Weaver, you look at C.J. Wilson. Okay, those are fine. Then you look at Tommy Hanson. Tommy Hanson was all right in Atlanta, but the season he had last year, I think, was disappointing. That's why Atlanta Braves were like, "Who cares? Just leave." And then you also got you got Joe Blanton. Really, Joe Blanton, a guy who with the Dodgers and Phillies and the A's in recent past hasn't been that good. He seems like his ERA is like 4.25 or something. You sit there going, "What the hell?" It's just weird. And then you look at the bottom, you got Jason Vargas, and I like Jason Vargas because he's not necessarily a strikeout pitcher. You're not going to look at his stats and he's not like Jared Weaver. You're going to look at his stats and be like, "Oh, look, 11 strikeouts, what a beast." Jason Vargas probably gave around 5 to 6 strikeouts a night, but you look at his ERA, it's consistent. It's probably around like 3.35, 3.40 something around there. And he's just a guy that's going to eat a lot of innings. I like to call him an inning eater, kind of like Roy Halladay or Justin Verlander. A guy that gets a lot of innings. I think we'll get a lot of innings in Los Angeles, in Anaheim, whatever you want to call it. But nonetheless, this should be an interesting division in the AL West. I'm really excited to look at this division. Other than the Astros, this should be somewhat competitive, I think, division. Now, I'm not saying, the Mariners are going to go away or something. I'm not sure, but the Rangers are a nice team, and we know how stacked the Angels are. So, we'll see what happens. But hell, what can happen with baseball? Anyways, that's it for me. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Peace.